Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. My name is Maribel. Today we're going to be talking about a kind of bird. So we're going to do a short warm-up and then we'll get into the bird. So looking at the slide, I want you guys to try and name as many birds as you know. So we see a whole variety of birds. They have some things in common. So birds have 2 legs, and most of their bodies are covered in feathers. So in the picture, there's actually one bird in there that we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to give you some hints, and I'm going to see if you guys can guess what bird it is that we're going to be talking about today. So the first hint is that it's usually associated with Thanksgiving. The second is that it has a bald head. The third hint is that it has a red gull hanging from its neck. And lastly, they have a fan-shaped tail. That's right. For today, we're going to be talking about turkeys. So what are some things you know about turkeys? So we just went over how to describe a turkey. If you want to build a turkey, you're going to want 2 legs and that bald head and fan-shaped tail. So let's talk a little bit more about turkeys. Turkeys are from the same family and they look similar to birds like peacocks, ostriches, and roosters. They look like peacocks because they have a fan-shaped tail. They look like ostriches because they have a bald head. And they look like roosters because they have a red gull hanging from their neck. So, we know how to describe a turkey. And there are also different types of turkeys. So, are turkeys covered in feathers? Yes. And usually, what color are those feathers? They can be dark brown, black, light brown, but we see in the slide that there can even be turkeys with white feathers. So there's different types of turkeys, and they look similar to other birds that we know. So how are we going to build our turkey today? So we're going to build the body. We're going to build the fan-shaped tail, and the goal for today is to get our fan-shaped tail to move around so it turns in a circle. So how do you think we're going to be able to do that? How will we get the tail to move? We're going to be using the motor, and more importantly, we're going to be using 2 of our gears, a 40-tooth gear and an 8-tooth gear, which will help to move the tail of the turkey. We're using 2 gears instead of 1 because we want to slow down the speed of the 40-tooth gear. So if we were to just use the 40-tooth gear and use the motor, it would spin too quickly. So we want to slow it down. So we're going to first attach the 8-tooth gear to the motor and then have it connect with the 40-tooth gear so it can slow down the speed of the 40-tooth gear. That is what we call the deceleration of gears, and we'll go back to that when we start the build. So that's going to be the main part of our turkey today. There are 2 parts to the build. First, we're going to build the body, and then we're going to build the tail, and the tail will be connected to the motor. So that's the 2 parts that make up the build. With that being said, let's get started on building the first part, which is the body of the turkey. So to begin, take 2 1x8 bricks, lay them next to each other, and connect them both by taking a 2x8 plate and clipping it on top of both of the bricks. Now you're going to place a black pin in the 3rd and 4th pinhole for both sides. So I'm counting 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you'll do the same on the other side. So the shorter end, where you have the 2 empty pinholes, that's going to be the front of the turkey, and the other end will be the back of the turkey. So we'll put the tail here, and now we're going to build the legs for our turkey and the neck of the turkey. So to build the legs, you're going to take an angular beam and put an axle 3 through the cross hole, that's the first hole of your angular beam, on the longest side. You're going to hold it so that the shorter end of your angular beam points towards the sky. And now you'll attach a 2x4 angular beam to your axle 3. And this will be the feet of the turkey. So we're going to be clipping it on this way. That's going to be our first turkey foot. And now to make the other, you'll do the same thing. Take a double angular beam, put an axle 3 through the cross hole on the longest side. And now, this step is very important. You want to make sure that your 2x4 angular beam, so your smaller angular beam, is going to be on the opposite side as your first foot that we built. So notice that I have them on different sides. That's because they're both opposite feet, so the feet are going to stand on the opposite sides. So just make sure they're placed right and that the 2x4 angular beam points towards the tip of your double angular beam. And now we're going to clip it on to the body of the turkey. So take your first foot and clip it into the 2 black pins. Make sure that you have your 2x4 angular beam on the outside of the turkey. You don't want it on the inside because then it's going to have a hard time balancing. And you want to make sure that the feet are pointed to the front of the turkey. So remember, the front of the turkey is where we have the 2 empty pinholes on the side. So you want to make sure that they're pointed towards the front. And now we're going to clip on the other foot. Again, making sure that it's pointed towards the front of the turkey and that both beams are on the outside. And now you're going to clip on your motor so that you have it at the back of the turkey. So you notice where we have the pinholes and the cross hole, that's going to face towards the back. So you don't want to have it like this. You want the cable to be towards the front of the turkey with the pinholes on the back, because we're going to be attaching the tail, the fan-shaped tail, to the motor at the back of the turkey. So we have our feet, we have the body. Of course, we need to make the neck of the turkey. So now to make the neck, take a 4x6 angular beam, take an axle 3, put it through the cross hole on the shortest side. So notice the short end, that's where you want to put your axle 3, because turkeys, they have very long necks. So we want to make the neck as long as possible. So we're going to clip on the head to this top here by taking a Technican, put it through your axle 3, make sure it's pointed towards the table and that it's at an angle, so it's not slightly face down, but it's kind of at an angle. And now taking an axle connector and an axle 2, insert it through the cross hole of the axle connector. And now you're going to put that in the last cross hole of the Technicam. And now we're going to secure the other side by putting another Technicam. Now we want to give our turkey some eyes. So to do that, just take 2 half bushings and put them on your axle 3. Put 1 on each side. So we have the beak of our turkey, we have the 2 eyes, and now we want to just connect it to the body of the turkey. So take an axle 2, put it through the top cross hole on the long sand, so that's at the bottom. Stick it out further to one side, because now we're going to attach a 1x2 brick and put axle 2 through it. So now we're able to connect this to the front of our turkey. So you're going to need to pull your cable back a bit, and you can now clip your turkey in. And there you go, we have the first step is complete. All we have to do now is to make the fan-shaped tail, and we're good to go. So you can put your turkey aside for now. We're going to take a beam of size 5. You're going to put a black pin in the bottom and 3rd pinhole, just like that. And now you're going to insert that into the back of your motor. So you want to lay it vertically. You can now take an axle 3 between both black pins, and you're going to insert it right into the motor. So push it as far back as you can put it. And it's probably best to grab onto the motor so you don't knock over the neck of the turkey. So you want to hold firmly on the motor and then press so it goes all the way in. Put an 8-tooth gear into your axle 3. Take a 10 Technic pin with axle and put that in the top pinhole. Once you've added that in, take a 40-tooth gear and place that onto the center of your 40-tooth gear. So it goes into the tan Technic pin. And now we're going to add in the feathers to make the fan of our tail. So we're just going to decorate it now. You're going to put 2 black pins at the top of your 40-tooth gear. You're going to put 2 black pins on the bottom left and 2 black pins on the bottom right. So your 40-tooth gear should look just like that. Make sure that you have the black pins in the right spot. Now take a beam of size 3, connect the black pin to the last pinhole for one side, and do the same on the other end. Take a beam of size 7, and you're going to connect it to both black pins on one side, and the same for the other side. So that's going to be the fan tail for our turkey. And that's it. We have our turkey. We've done both steps. We did the body, we did the fan tail, and now we're going to connect it to our motor and see everything come to life. So before we turn it on, let's try and guess what we're going to see. So the goal was to make the tail, the fan-shaped tail, turn so that we can fan out the tail of our turkey. But want to slow down the speed, because if we attach this 40-tooth gear to our motor, it would spin way too quickly. So we put an 8-tooth gear. It's going to work with the fan-shaped 40-tooth gear, and it's going to slow down the speed, but we can still turn our tail around. So let's see that come to life. Let's turn on the motor. And there we go, we have a turkey. So that's it for the build, and let's go over what we learned today about the turkey. So we learned about different types of turkeys, that they have different colored feathers, that they look like other birds that we know, and we can describe them by pointing out their fan-shaped tail, their bald heads, their red gull below their neck, and their long neck, and of course they have feathers and 2 legs because they're birds. So that's it for today's build. If you like, feel free to decorate your turkey. You can try making a more decorative fan-shaped tail, or you can try and see other things you can build that use the deceleration of the gears like we learned about. So try to see what else you can build, now knowing that you can use 2 gears to slow down the speed of one 40-tooth gear. And that's everything for today's build. Once you're done with your model, be sure to put all your pieces away. And we'll see you for the next one. Bye everyone.